wanna win on the low, low. Ask me where I've been, I said don't know. You making demands, I said whoa, whoa. She wanna be friends, I said no, no. Hey, yeah, whoa. My soul is stuck between dark and the light. It's like playing some musical chairs. They kicked me out, so I started a life, made a bag that was bigger than theirs. I win and I lose and I win and again. I can see why they think that's unfair. We putting the work and we making them bends. To be honest, I don't really share. You rolling with hitters, I don't understand. You killing good people, that wasn't the plan. Round of the game, come get your mans. He's selling his soul for a couple of bands. I opened his eyes, lifted a hand. As far as you see, this is all in my land. Cause I've been through hell, then I came back. That's the one reason I don't give a damn.
Papa Swole.
This is life with the son of man. Poured a drink, half a dozen in. Threw my head for a sudden spin. Sad story with my violin. All these problems start to pile in. All these peasants turn to violence. Two-faced, thought you had a twin. I just wanna win on the low, low. Ask me where I've been, I said don't know. You making demands, I said whoa, whoa. She wanna be friends, I said no, no. I just wanna win on the low, low. Ask me where I've been, I said don't know. You making demands, I said whoa, whoa. She wanna be friends, I said no, no.
Fitness without bullshit.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping,
The
the
bacon
bacon
is a sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole. Testing, 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 testicles, testicles. Welcome everyone to episode 1098 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beercast, broadcast, gangcast, mancast, pimpcast, a sleazecast, and as a slaycast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Welcome, and yes, that's right, David. Happy post-hump day. It is the day after the hump day, so happy hump day, but past hump day, ex-hump day. No more hump day. Now we're time to pump day. We passed the hump, and now we pump. After we hump, we pump. Everybody knows this. Yeah. What's going on? Welcome to episode 1098. Can you believe it? We're almost at 1100 already. I feel like we just hit 1,000. It was 100 days ago, people. Very easy math to do. Very easy math to do. It was... how many days ago? It feels like it was yesterday. Nope, it was 98 fucking days ago. Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Time doth fly. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. We are live everywhere. And remember, you can subscribe to the podcast over at swolenormousx.com. It's everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, anywhere you like to ram your ear holes with awesome fucking words. I'll let my beard tickle your ear holes. Let it. Just let it happen. Let it happen. It's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. You may as well let daddy in. Let me in. Come on. Knock, knock. Who's there? Papa Swole. Oh, man. Perfect timing. Hey, Papa Swole wants to do his podcast. Let's fucking blow some leaves around. Ah, geez. They're always doing shit out there. All right. Swole, did you hear about the... Etika mental, what the fuck? What's that? What's an etika? Etika mental brain. No, I don't know what that. I don't know what an etika is. Etika. Let's see. May have missed it. One of the Daily Swole seems to be missing on Facebook recently. One of the days this week, it wouldn't stream to Facebook. Facebook had an API issue, so I couldn't stream to Facebook like 2 or 3 days ago. So make sure, Richard, that you subscribe to the podcast. That way you get all the new episodes. You can find, if you can't catch it live, if you miss it, or if there's a streaming problem, you know, there's sometimes if I'm traveling, you won't be able to get a live stream. There won't be a live stream. Sometimes it'll just be some random lives. But if you're subscribed to the podcast, you'll get it every day. Even if it's not live for whatever reason. Sometimes when I'm traveling, I can't do like an entire podcast live, but I'll pop in and just be like, hey, what's up? But you always have a podcast. The podcast is every day. It's done every day. It's just not necessarily live in unique situations. But the other day, that was just a fluke. Facebook fucked up. they drop the ball. It happens once in a while with technology shit. Can't control everything, fam. Can't control everything. It's a well-known YouTuber who started live streaming, yelling about revolutions and crap while resisting the SWAT team. I don't know what that is, but it sounds really, really stupid, and I don't want to know anything about it, if possible. I don't think it's anything I need to get in my head. So no, I've never heard of any of that. That sounds stupid. If you're dealing with a SWAT team, you're an idiot. Like, you're not, something is fundamentally wrong with your approach to life if you're dealing with a SWAT team. There's something wrong there. There's no need. If you're a big enough YouTuber, there's no need for you to have any dealings with the fucking SWAT team. That's stupid. Gina, Papa Swoleo, I find myself singing this in my head. You're welcome. You're welcome, dear. I'm glad I am improving your life. Wow, that's awesome. Shane, my oral surgeon knows of you, made me chuckle. He sure doesn't belong in doctors failure fitness category. Well, good. That title, the doctors fail fitness, that was a little clickbaity. I admit, it was a little clickbaity. The message was good, but hey, it gets you in there. If you think that I think all doctors are out of shape, that's silly. That's ridiculous. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet. I don't think that all doctors are unhealthy and all doctors are fat. I think we can all agree the medical system is fucking unhealthy. It's sick care, not health care. And then aside from that, you get it. It's satirical. Come on. You get the message. That's why you all follow me. You get the message. You understand what I'm saying. You read between the lines. Don't take everything fucking literally. You know this. You know this shit. Amazed by this technology. Asked a question 5 states up and got a response in 30 seconds. Oh, you mean here? Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the comments. Not all the time. Sometimes when we get into the topic, sometimes I see them. A lot of times the questions roll up pretty fast. Not quite as awesome as sick ass gains. Well, you gotta like those gains. Facebook needs to look into doing the basics. I agree. All right. Anyway, we're here. So today's episode is, I took the question, the pre-roll question was about yoga, and today's episode is about the bottom of the pyramid. So let me get a little bit of a sample from you all. What do you think in terms of your fitness lifestyle pyramid? If you had to put something, the number one thing or one of the things, maybe one of your top 2 or 3 things, what would you put at the bottom? It doesn't have to be literally the number one thing. It could be like one of your top 2 or 3. What's something you would put at the bottom, in the bottom couple rungs of your pyramid? If you were putting the most important things at the bottom, the foundation. If you were telling someone, right? If you were giving someone either nutrition or training, it could be specific too. It doesn't have to be just nutrition. I mean, obviously nutrition's important, so that's too general. Not food. Fuck you guys. Food. No shit. If you don't eat, you die. Let's get a little bit more specific with nutrition. If you're saying nutrition, what about nutrition? So yes, if you just say exercise is important, no shit. Sleep is important, yes, but what are some, but no, not just sleep. Like, let's get a little bit more specific. What about sleep? Like, what would be a good thing to focus on when it comes to sleep? Like, what would be some 3 specific things that you would have someone either do for exercise, do for nutrition? What would you do? What would you recommend? So if it was nutrition, what about nutrition? If it was unicorn jizz, what about unicorn jizz? Let's see. You got yoga and meditation, flexibility, sleep. Let's see here. Hours of sleep, getting 8 hours. Beer looking glorious today. Well, thank you, fam. I appreciate that. Macros. Fucking jabronis. Sustainability. I'm kidding. Kind of. Mental health, control epilepsy. Okay. That's really specific. That's not like a general thing. Most people don't have to avoid epilepsy. If you do, I mean, that's good. Let's see. Oh, I accidentally waved at someone. Oh, well. Staying active all day, drink a gallon of water. Sleep is extremely important, still being general. CBD. All right. CBD oil is definitely not at the bottom of anyone's pyramid. CBD oil. That could be right in the middle or the top. Let's see here. Mobility, mind and body and vitality. You guys are just extremely vague. Kind of. You're getting a little bit more specific. Good amount of sleep, water intake, mental health. Don't eat right before bed. I'm talking about one of the top 1, 2, or 3 things that you would tell someone that's most important in like their life or their health. avoid overtraining, sticking to what's working, eliminating inflammatory foods, hydration, going to bed at the same time. These are good. No sugar, no grains, whole unprocessed foods, commitment. I agree. So the way I want to take it, these are very good. These are very good TENS unit. All right. Well, some of these are just maybe. And what's most important in your fitness or in your immediate, like, specific situation is not what's going to be for most people, but I'm talking about for most people, the majority of people, that if you were talking to 1,000 people, what piece of advice, what one or two things would you tell 1,000 people in order to get the most people, the most results, right? That's how I want you to think of it. So if you had 1,000 people, most people have things in common, all right? There's always going to be those outliers and people that need very specific instructions and very specific situations that have specific individual issues. But we can usually talk about the same subject and recommend the same category of things to, a group of people, and we'll probably get a very similar outcome, right? There's certain recommendations that we can make to a larger population that would be beneficial. And what I wanted to talk about today, and I kind of led with it, I gave you a little hint and a bunch of you have mentioned it. You mentioned mobility. And today is about yoga and mobility and activation and correcting posture. I want you to think, because we talk a lot about all of these things, and they all do matter. When you talk about nutrition, of course nutrition matters. Of course sleep matters and hydration. They all matter. All these things are important. So when you say, okay, what are the top one or two or three? There are some things that you need just for survival. Obviously, food's important. Obviously, sleep is important. You can't just go without those things. You'll die. So a lot of it is just your perspective. So it's great to get some feedback, like what's your perceived level of importance? And this can help some people. Maybe your focus is in the wrong place. Maybe your focus is not as direct towards the most important aspects of what will get you to the next level. And that's what we deal with a lot here on the podcast is, what are you focusing on to get you to that next level? What are you focusing on to improve? Are you focusing on the most important thing, or are you focusing on dumb shit that doesn't really matter? Are you focusing on what supplement to take to burn fat? Are you focusing on recomposition rather than let's focus on just eating better foods? Let's focus on caloric volume. Let's focus on your exercise. Let's focus on your sleep. Don't worry about body fat right now. Let's get these other habits in place, and body fat, or a more optimal body fat for you, or what your goal is going to be one of those side effects from taking care of these fundamentals. So where your focus is important. You want to be going after the roots of the trees, the roots of the plants, rather than going after the leaves and dealing with the sun. You can't control the sun. You can control how you fertilize the soil and how you deal and where you plant these trees and where you plant these plants and shit like that, right? What you add to give it fuel, to grow your lifestyle, to grow your progress, to grow your fitness. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about mobility and yoga today is, not only is it very important, and I've been doing a lot of editing for yoga classes for Swolenormous X. Those of you that are members, remember tomorrow is our masterclass at 12 noon. We're going to talk about program design, but we're also going to get a couple new yoga class releases tomorrow. So I'll announce that tomorrow during the meeting. But this is something that has to combat and has to battle. We have to create a lot of balance in our lives, in our bodies. We have stressful situations, we have inflammation, and then our body has to repair, right? We do damage in the gym, our body repairs. We're hungry, we need energy, we consume food, our body gets the energy. We create tension in the body by overcoming resistance, by doing resistance and intensity training, by doing weights, by doing this overload. Remember, when you're lifting weights, you're creating this environment. You're entering an environment. Let's say you go to the gym, whether or not you train in your garage, your living room, or at a gymnasium, or at a fitness center, at your club, whatever. It doesn't matter where you train. Wherever you're going to create this overload or to expose yourself, you're exposing yourself to that environment. You are going to the jungle, for example. You're going to an environment that stresses your body physically. You're going to the gym. And then in that environment, in that climate, in that steel climate, in that weightlifting climate, you are overloading. You're exposing your body to external force. That's a stimulus. That's something your body has to overcome. And the way your body overcomes that stimulus, overcomes that external force, is by creating internal tension to overcome that external force. And by creating that internal tension, you're able to push more than what the Earth is pulling into its core with gravity. You can push it up, you can push it forward, you could pull it, you can lunge it, squat it with your legs. You know all the different ways you can lift. You can use bands, you can use cables, you could use kettlebells and chains. It doesn't matter. Whatever vector you're going against gravity, you can use that as an exercise. There's different pieces of equipment. Now, when it comes to that tension that you're building up inside, that tension that you're building inside, how do you dissipate that tension? How do you get rid of that tension? How do you get rid of that tension inside? Do you just lift and then stop? That would seemingly be okay. That'd be nice. And in many ways, the tension does disappear. But a lot of times that tightness and that stiffness and that rigidity gets kind of stuck in the muscle fibers, in the muscles. Theoretically, right? These are not this is not a technical term, but when you're building up that kind of internal physiological tension, physically and physiologically, you need to release that tension. You get tight muscles. You need to help these muscles recover. You need to get the nutrients, the blood through the muscle tissue. That's where foam rolling and myofascial release, massage can come into play. Going into a sauna, doing cryotherapy, doing stretching, yoga, mobility, activation, improving your posture. These types of things work to counterbalance, to balance out, to even out, to dissipate the external force and the stress from the environment in which you're putting your body in. And this is very important because over time, this can lead towards overtraining if you're not balancing it out. If you're just creating this type of intensity and you're putting your body under stress all the time, but you're not managing that stress. It's like buying more and more clothes, but not having an organized closet, and you're just throwing things everywhere. It just gets messy. You keep on buying things and you don't have any organization. You don't need more stuff. You need to organize what you have. You don't necessarily need more resistance or more weights. You need to organize your body the way it is. You need to organize your body the way it is. You need to organize your posture. You have over 600 muscles in your body. Everyone, you have over 600 muscles in your body. How, in what condition are those 600 muscles? You have over 600 muscles in your body. Are you taking care of any of them? Which ones are you taking care of them? Just a few or all of them? What are you doing psychologically? What are you doing for your brain? What are you doing for your mind? What are you doing for your control center? Are you practicing meditation? Like I've mentioned, there are many great guided meditation apps. You have an amazing piece of technology in which you are listening to me on. You're listening to the podcast through this amazing, amazing piece of technology. And you have access to all this content. Those of you that are in Swole Enormous X, you have access to all this content. You have access to these guided meditation apps. You have access to workouts. You have access to information. Google. You can use this to your advantage. You don't have to waste your time endlessly scrolling on Instagram and YouTube. You can use these platforms like right now. You're tuning in, you're listening to the podcast, right? You're engaging, you're learning, you're educating yourself. You're engaging with this community here, and we're discussing, we're helping everyone, we're staying on track. All of us, myself included, by doing the podcast is keeping everyone, including myself, on track and focused. So you can use social media and technology for good. You can use it for good. You don't have to it doesn't have to be this negative connotation. Everywhere you hear it's like, oh, social media. Yeah, but social media, giving up social media. If you have to give up social media and give up your phone and not go on social media for a month, you have to detox or whatever, you have a fucking problem. You can use social media regularly and not be addicted. You might think that I'm addicted. A lot of you might think that I'm addicted to social media. Quite the opposite. The only thing I use social media for is for Swole Enormous. It's for the business. It's very separate for me. You might not see that from your perspective, but for me, it's separate. It's not me. It's not me personally. It's the brand. It's what I'm doing for Swole Enormous X. It's a lot of other things. It's not me. It's not a part of me. It's like a segment of me. So it's very important of how you perceive your situation, how you perceive your environment and what you allow in, and then how you manage the stress that you're bringing into your life, whether it's psychological stress, whether it's physical stress. And physical stress is great. It's great to exercise. You need physical stress. If you want to build muscle, you have to put your body under physical stress. But how are you managing that physical stress? What are you doing to balance that out? Are you just piling on physical stress, but not giving your body any outlet to manage that? How many of you do foam rolling? How many of you do yoga or mobility? And don't say you do yoga if you just, I do stretching, like you touch your toes, you put your leg up on a bench and you bend towards your toe. I'm talking about yoga, like you do a yoga class, whether it's in Swolenormous X, whether it's at a studio, whether it's through something else, you do yoga. You could do glute activation. You could do activation exercises, corrective exercise. You could do foam rolling. How many of you do active mobility, correcting your posture? We look at nutrition all the time. Hey, we're being pounded all the time. We're being exposed to garbage foods all the time. How do we avoid garbage foods? We have to, make better choices. We should focus on real whole foods, not fast foods. Get rid of the sugar, get rid of all this stuff. That's what we're thinking about nutrition. We're balancing it out. We're trying to focus on whole foods, not processed, fake, artificial, boxed foods, preservatives, and with all these things that aren't found in nature as concentrated quantities. With exercise, we're trying to combat and balance out society. We have cars, we have all this technology. We can tap a couple buttons to get food and supplies delivered to us same day, next day, 2 days with Amazon. We barely have to go anywhere anymore. Okay. Then, so we're balancing those two things out. We're balancing our nutrition. We're fighting that balance, right? Everyone's pulling one direction. We're trying to pull towards health or what's right for us. Okay. I'll leave that open to what you're trying to focus on. Exercise. A lot of people are pulling towards lazy. Society pulls towards being lazy, physically lazy. We are trying to stay active. Okay. Well, what about the physical? It's not just the exercise in terms of lifting. What about the posture? We are very limited in our motion. Not only are we limited in our motion, but we're also very repetitive in our motion. So, for example, don't think that just because you're moving a lot during the day that you're fine, that you're in the clear. It's good to be moving around, better than sitting at a desk all day. However, whatever your job is, chances are it's very repetitive in nature. Either you're twisting one direction, you're doing a repetitive movement, like you're bending down, twisting one direction to pick up a box. You're turning and putting it up on a rack, or you're reaching up with the same arm, or you're bending down the same way every time. Those are certain muscles that are working over and over and over again. And you get repetitive movement. If you're a massage therapist, if you're physical with your hands, you're going to have a dominant arm. You're going to have a strong right arm, maybe a weaker left arm. You're going to twist more in one direction than the other. Your posture gets imbalanced. Your posture changes and shifts. So we have to balance out that repetitive movement, whether it's a lack of movement, sitting down, hip and knee flexion, or it's a repetitive movement. Sitting down is a repetitive lack of movement. A repetitive movement or an issue can also be sitting too long. And guess what? I have a standing desk. Mine goes up and down. I saw you, Eric, you mentioned you got a standing desk. That's great. Standing in one place all the time isn't good either. Might be better than sitting. But you don't want to be, the human body's meant to be in motion. Being in one place, and a lot of you know this, if you're a cashier or you stand around a lot, after a little while, you're like, fuck, I'm just standing. But you don't get the same kind of fatigue if you're moving, if you're walking, if you're in motion. Your body is meant to be in motion. It's meant to stand. It's meant to sit. It's meant to twist. It's meant to bend. Your body is meant to do a lot of different things, but be very much in motion often. And if it's not in motion, it's usually in a deep squat. It's usually exposed to a lot of mobility. It's very interesting. Those of you that feel like you struggle with yoga. How many of you struggle with yoga? How many of you struggle with yoga psychologically because you have to slow down so much, or you feel like you have to slow down so much? How many of you struggle with yoga because of the physical? And someone mentioned meditation. It's the same thing with meditation. Those of you that really struggle with slowing your mind down, and it's not necessarily slowing your mind down, but observing your thoughts and changing your perspective. If you're having a lot of issue with it, that means you need it a lot. Do not look at yoga and or meditation. Do not look at it as something like, well, I suck at it, I'm never going to be good. Doesn't work like that. You don't do meditation to get better at meditation. That's not what you're trying to do. You don't do yoga to get better at yoga. You don't do yoga for results. Hey, I'm trying to get abs, let me add yoga. That's not why you do yoga. You don't even do yoga because you want to get more flexible. That still shouldn't be why you practice yoga. You want to create balance. You want to expose your body to, you want to learn more about your body. When you practice yoga, and those of you that do practice yoga, you know what I'm talking about. When you move, it's like a physical assessment. It's like your physical brain. You're assessing your balance. When you go to touch your toes and you go through these postures, you'll feel if the right side's tighter than the left. It's like an active assessment. You're overlooking, you're kind of coding over your body, scanning it like the Terminator, and you're noticing from a day-to-day standpoint, even if you just do 10 minutes of yoga a day, even if you just do 10 minutes of yoga a day, when you practice, you go through a motion. Let's say you do a sun salutation or something, doesn't matter, but you'll feel the right hip really lock up, or then you'll feel the left hip, man, today the left hip's really tight. And okay, today the right hip is really tight, or my hips feel really good, but man, my ankles just feel fucking stiff. And you're going to notice when you practice yoga, how much, just like meditation, some days you fucking zone it, you really get into it. Other days you kind of struggle. It's always like that. It's like a heartbeat. It's like the stock market. You go up, you go down, you have those rough days, but it's just about the process of practicing and observing and carrying that through your day. So when you do your yoga, you'll realize sometimes when you do yoga, you will, it's fucking, geez. Hold on a second. Sometimes when you'll practice yoga, you will like really feel open and loose, and wow, you just have an amazing practice and you feel like you really got into some deep stretches. And other times, even the next day, let's say you had an amazing practice and you felt like, wow, I'm so flexible, I'm so loose, I'm doing so much better than I was on a Monday. Then you go to practice a little bit of yoga tomorrow, Tuesday, and you feel fucking stiff like a board. For whatever reason, you just don't match what you did the day before. Does that mean you suck at yoga? Does that mean you're doing bad? No. Maybe you're a little dehydrated. Maybe you slept, a little bit heavier. Maybe it's just who the fuck knows and who cares. Here's the thing. Over the long term, over weeks and months and years, when you practice, you're going to improve for sure. You're going to get better without a fucking doubt. It's just practice like anything else. Would you be shocked if I said, hey, guess what? I got a fact for you. Ready? The more you practice guitar, wait for it, the better you're going to play. Everyone's going to be like, you're a fucking idiot. No shit. Wow, you practiced and you got better? Oh my God. Same thing with yoga. Same thing with nutrition. Same thing with exercise. Same thing with time management, scheduling. Same thing with all of it. All of it. It's practice. It's exposing yourself to different situations, different schedules. You practice going to the gym. Do you like to practice going to the gym in the early morning, or do you like to practice in the afternoon? Or do you like to practice going to the gym in the evening? Which one do you like to practice? Have you ever thought about your training like that? Have you ever thought about your physical training, your workout? Have you ever thought about it like a practice? Your fitness is a practice every day. Like, I'm going to practice. No one says that. I'm going to go practice my fitness today. I'm going to go practice lifting weights. That's what you're doing when you go to the gym. When you go to the gym, you are practicing lifting. You're either practicing overcoming excuses. You're practicing staying on your schedule. You're practicing your discipline. You're practicing whatever exercises. You're practicing your time management. You're practicing your willpower. You're practicing your consistency. You're practicing your commitment. You're practicing all those things. And like anything else, the more you practice those things and doing them the best that you can, shocker that you're going to build great habits and you're going to get better at them. You'll get better at your yoga. You'll get better at your mobility. You'll get better at your training. You're going to get better. You're going to get better. John, do you think there's a wrong way to do yoga? I mean, yeah, I would say there is a wrong way to do yoga, because yoga is a specific practice. There are different types of yoga, different types of flows. And when you're doing the poses, there's a way you want to try to approach the poses. Like there's a good form in yoga, right? For downward dog, there's a certain way you set up downward dog, and there's certain cues, and a good instructor will guide you through those cues and things to think about. So you aim to have good form, right? To execute them. But everyone's yoga is going to look a little differently. And some people might get into these really deep, hardcore contortion positions, and some people might never actually get there. Everyone's different. Some people are naturally more flexible. Some people are just more hypermobile in their joints. So there's definitely good form. And there's different types of yoga. So, you know, it's not something like, is it bad if self-taught? No, it's not bad. But if you self-teach, you need to self-teach yourself from a good source, right? If you follow a class, it's usually good to at least expose yourself once in a while to external feedback from someone that knows, like a trainer. It's always good to train with a partner at some point. Unless you're a professional, you know, it might be hard for you to know when you have really good form or know what to look for if you take a video. Now, if you're taking a video of yourself or a selfie in the gym, you set up your phone or your camera and take a video, you can look back and see your form. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what you did. That was your form. And then you can adjust. But if you have someone giving you external feedback on the spot, they could be telling you, hey, suck your stomach in, keep your chin tucked in, look down, squeeze your butt, keep your hips back, blah, 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 whatever the exercise is. Same thing with yoga. If you have an instructor, a good instructor that can guide you and can see, because sometimes when you're practicing weight training or you're doing yoga, you might feel like your hips are driving back, but a quality instructor might see, okay, they're pushing into their wrist too much, not into their finger and their thumb, and their elbows are still a little bit bent. So they'll come over and be like, hey, straighten out your elbows more. And you'll be like, oh shit, I thought I was. And then you realize, oh, I wasn't. And then you get back into that pose more. And then your body maps that again and realizes, okay, that's what it has to feel like to have good form. And then of course it's practice. And then the next time you do it, you go for that same feeling. And lo and behold, you're pushing into your fingers more and your thumb, and you're locking out your elbows more, whatever the pose is. But you see what I'm saying? It's just that association with, oh, so-and-so told me to do it more like this. Let me feel that. Let me get in position. They're like, good, cool. And they walk over to another student in the class, and then you lock it down. So you get better. It's always good to mix it up, and it's good to try different instructors. It's just great to start practicing and not to hold yourself to some high standard. I got to do it every day. You do it when you can. The most important thing is you're doing it consistently, whether it's once a week or twice a week or 3 times a week. As long as you're doing it consistently, you're going to get better. Ken, it's interesting. If I do yoga after work, I feel like the night is longer and I have more free time. It seems to have a subtle effect on how we perceive time, or maybe that's just me. It might slow you down, man. Yoga is a moving meditation. When you connect with meditation, you connect with the breath. Same thing with yoga. If you connect it to the breath, it's a moving meditation. It can definitely change how you perceive time. I mean, time is just perception anyway. It's how we perceive it, but it's not necessarily absolute. You know, you get into a lot of like quantum physics and philosophy and stuff too. Exactly like when they pull back on your hips and you realize your pelvis was tilted. Yeah, sure. No doubt. What are your thoughts on taking a day off when ill? I feel so guilty. Why? You're sick. Get better and then go back to the gym. What are your thoughts on, i.e. cold or flu? Don't exercise. Get unfucked up and then go back to exercising. You feel bad. So what? Your body doesn't care. Your body's not feeling well. Your body's sick. Let your body heal. I feel like I struggle with the breathing portion of yoga, as do most people. That's the pursuit. That's a huge part of yoga, is the breathing. My breathing is all over the place. I'm not gassed, but it's hard to focus on my breathing. Well, it gets easier with practice. Again, it's hard to focus on your breathing because it's very simple. And a lot of people don't have the humility to challenge themselves with something that seems so simple. So the breath seems so simple, but it's extremely hard. Meditation is not something you actively have to do, right? When you are meditating, you're not trying to do anything in particular, but it's a practice of exposing yourself to looking at things in a specific manner and to getting yourself to a point of a different place of perception in your own consciousness and in your surroundings and your environment. It's fucking intense. Same thing with yoga. There are some poses in yoga that are very, very challenging. When you first start, it's exhausting for the arms. It's exhausting for the core. Your triceps are going to be burning, your shoulders and your fucking legs. And you're like, oh my God. And when you first start practicing yoga, and you could drop in the comments below if you agree or you have the same experience, downward dog is work. It's always work, kind of. But when you first start practicing, downward dog it's like you're holding an isometric push-up. But then after a while, downward dog becomes where you go after you have like a really brutal little routine, and then you go into a downward dog and you breathe and you relax. and you recover in downward dog. So when you first start, all these new muscles that you haven't used before, your body alignment's not lined up properly. Your body weight is usually shifted too much onto your arms because your calves and your hips are really tight. So you're not able to sit your hips back more. So you have a lot of weight on your arms fatigue, and it feels very, very challenging. But then once you really get into practicing yoga and you get very consistent, what happens is your body is more able to rest there. And the downward dog position, just like child's pose, is an inversion, but it's also a restorative, and it's a resting pose. You go to downward dog to rest, to recover, to catch your breath, to reconnect with your breath. Same thing with child's pose. Those are both two good examples of pause or recovery positions. I agree. Doing yoga, you'll sleep like a legend. I agree. What's up, Sean? Yeah, you did miss a bunch. It's all right. Do I practice at night? Anytime you want to practice. Yoga is great anytime. Yoga is great at the beginning, helps you get warmed up. Yoga is also great in the evening, and there's different types of yoga. I just say, as long as you do it. As long as you do it and you're consistent with it. For example, if you love doing yoga first thing in the morning, fucking by all means, do it first thing in the morning. If you love doing it in the evening, do it in the evening. Find what works best for you, and that's when you should do it. There's no requirement to do yoga first thing in the morning. There's no requirement to do it first thing in the morning. There's no requirement to do it in the evening. There's no requirement to do it twice a day. There's no requirement to do it for an hour and a half every day. There's no, practice. Your practice is going to look like your practice. Now, you can follow a routine. You can follow classes. You can do them online. You can do, just as long as you're getting consistent and you're exposing yourself. And there's different types too. So it's a wonderful practice. It's a wonderful thing to add to your life. Chelsea, totally agree. Downward dog used to tear me up, and now I look forward to it. Same with child's pose. Yeah, child's pose is great. That's obviously a lot less intense than downward dog. Kim, I practice yoga 2 times a week, and I suck at most of it. No, you don't. I keep doing it, though, every single week. I am improving a bit. Yeah, and you also don't suck. There's no such thing. You cannot suck at yoga. You cannot be good or bad at yoga. You practice yoga. You might have more experience in yoga, but you're not good or bad. You're going to fluctuate with how mobile you are. But let's say on Tuesday you can touch your toes, and Wednesday you can't really quite reach your ankles. It doesn't mean on Wednesday you sucked and you were great on Tuesday. You just do what your body allows in that moment, and you keep on exposing your body to it, and you practice. How do I feel about the goat yoga fad? Isn't that where they have goats in the room? I know nothing about it. It sounds stupid. I don't know what the point is. I see people with baby goats. I don't know what the fuck that's all about. John, I've trained my stabilizer muscles like a boss. I could do 90-90 rotations and single leg RDL effortlessly now. Practice, practice, practice. Hell yeah. There you go. Paul, my 4-year-old boy, does yoga with me, and my 2-year-old does downward dog with us. Kids love yoga. Kids love yoga. How often do I recommend the infrared sauna? I don't personally use an infrared sauna, and I don't believe I ever have. I do a regular sauna like 6 days a week. I make it a little bit hotter now. I usually do about 20 minutes, 10 in, 5, like a couple minutes out, 10 in. Sometimes I do 20 minutes straight. Sometimes I'll do 10, 10, 5. Sometimes I'll do 10, 5 out, 10 in, 5 out. I usually don't do 30 minutes straight. The most I usually do straight in a row is 20 minutes, but it depends. Sometimes I pour some water on it so it steams it up more and it gets fucking super hot. So I keep it. Sometimes I go hotter but shorter periods, and I do little intervals, and sometimes I just do, hot, but I just do it for a longer period. Whatever I feel like in the motion, in the day. Sometimes I just feel I don't want to be too hot for too long. I just want to do a little smaller sets, so I do it that way. I would love to purchase a Levels yoga mat. What's a Levels yoga mat? What's that? What's the best time to do yoga? There is no best time. Do it whenever you can be consistent. Who are some of the lifters that you follow? What do you mean? I don't follow any lifters. Lifters that I follow? I'm not a fan of lifting like that. I mean, I respect good physiques, but I don't really follow, like, none that I can think of at the top of my head. I don't treat fitness like that. I don't really follow anyone. I mean, I might be aware of someone if you have like a name. Do I know of them? But there's a lot of people I don't know. And there are some people that you might name them and I say I don't know who they are. But then if you showed me a picture of them, like, oh, I've seen them on Instagram or I've seen them on YouTube or something. So I don't know a lot of people by name necessarily either. I don't really consume content. As much as I make videos about different things, it's what I observe. I don't like consume and watch video after video. I create too many pieces of content to worry about what people are doing in depth. So it depends. Oh, a Kegel's yoga mat. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a cool one. That'd be a cool idea. Yoga right out of bed in the morning is great. It's a great way to get warmed up, especially if you have stiffness, if you're really rigid and you have like brutal mobility in the morning, it could be a game changer for you. Meredith, I had a Quest bar today just for shits. Did it give you the shits? And it was awful. Tasted like nasty processed sugar in a block. Yep, that's pretty much what a Quest bar is. What about Joe Rogan, John? Is he a lifter? Are you following up with that question? I listen to his podcast, depending on who's on or what's. I wouldn't call like that person like a lifter that I follow. Yeah. So what are we going to do, fam? What are we going to do? Are we going to start yoga? Are you going to get off your butt and go practice yoga? I think you are. I think you are. I think you are. If you haven't yet started your practice, now is a great time. This week is a great week. And make sure you check out swolenormousx.com if you're interested in our yoga studio, our Swolga studio, and also our Swole in 7 classes. We got a couple more launching tomorrow. So those of you that are Swolenormous X members, tomorrow after the masterclass at noon, you will have a new release, and I will be giving you the details on which new classes you can access tomorrow. But we'll do the program design masterclass live in the private Facebook group at 12 noon Eastern time. For X members, and we're going to talk about the 90-day dash. We're going to talk about progressions and regressions and training splits, and I'll do a lot of specific Q&A for questions that you have individually for your programs. If you want to learn more about joining Swolenormous X, go to swolenormousx.com. Brand new YouTube video dropped today, and there will be another one tomorrow. I believe it's an Ask Papa Swolio tomorrow. So today was a good one about a whey protein supplement, which I just don't like the marketing. I'm tired of this fucking garbage, but I dropped a video on it, and so make sure you go check it out. And lots of new videos, lots more IGTV, IG videos, just dropping fucking tons of stuff, answering a lot of questions in the stories. Make sure that you stay plugged in on my Instagram, because I will be posting a lot more of those question stickers. That way you can drop your questions, and I'll take that and I'll answer a bunch of them, give you some shout outs, and those of you that send me DMs and shit like that, I get to them as soon as I can. I have like I have so many DMs I'm trying to catch up on. So just be patient, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Remember, you can go to swolenormousx.com. You could join, get your membership on. You could also subscribe to the podcast, check out the blog, check out apparel. It's all in the main menu, swolenormousx.com. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the last one of the first 100 episodes after 1,000. So tomorrow is episode 1099. Isn't that special? Isn't that special? It is. It is. It is. Just another day, just another brick in the wall, right, fam? Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for episode 1099 of the Most Muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gangcast, Mancast, Pimpcast, I got a burp. Sleevescast and Slaycast. Ins their own, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow for 1099. Peace, McGeese. Deuce, Magoose. Ya boy, Papa Swolio. Oh, oh, oh. Ho, ho, out.